So I was gonna do a coaching video, which I am. I'm gonna do coaching a video next, and it's gonna be, I'm actually coaching myself up from back in the day, me and Greg training. That's gonna happen. But I was watching another video earlier today. So here's the response I've been getting from you guys, especially from like the crazy amount of consults I've been getting, which have been like absolutely amazing. Is, you know, apart from all the stuff that I've put out so far, thus far, the biggest thing that I put out was the piece I did on Conor Murphy, the mental health thing. And it's been vocalized to me that that's what really got people really to come out, is like this bodybuilder here is talking about very vulnerable things that most people don't really talk about because, you know, they're just either ashamed to talk about it, scared to talk about it, you know, not comfortable talking about it, whatever it is, they should be talking about it more. And I was like, okay, we should talk about this right now because this is one thing I feel like is not talked about properly in the industry at all. And that is, drum roll, demonetized in 3, 2, 1, eating disorders. Said it. So I was watching, pull this thing up. Actually, I should have had this thing queued up, ready to go. Damn it.
A few minutes later.
So
20 minutes later.
And it was
1 hour later.
So anyway, so it's called Fat Phobic Personal Trainer Tells Clients to Stop Eating and Starve. Not body positive. Not body positive. That's by My Thoughts Will Probably Offend You. I love watching her. Actually, her stuff is, sorry, I got a zit.
A zit. My fans will throw a fit.
Her stuff is like to the core. I love it because it's like, it's open, honest. Like, I don't give a shit. I'm gonna tell you guys to be honest and truthful. She comes from a fitness background. Because I was kind of like wondering when I was watching her stuff, I'm like, did she come from a fitness background? Can she really speak about this stuff like with experience? Because if you're gonna tell me something, you better damn well have done it and have some experience in it if you're gonna have some type of an opinion. So basically the premise of this is a bodybuilding coach I know, I don't know personally, but I know of him, Phil Viz. He posted something and it was directed to the bodybuilding community. He even says in his post, you know, PSA to the, you know, competitors. And somebody got this and sent it to her, and, you know, she has a group, she's looking at it and she's like, wait a minute, it's not directed to the regular people out there, because if this is directed to the regular people out there, this is for sure very, very unhealthy, right? So anyway, I'm gonna let you guys watch a little part of this and then I'm gonna get into the why.
A proud mother of a pup and a chihuahua. A past theater nerd gone grown-up cosplayer, and this is my channel. My thoughts will probably offend you, where I share my thoughts that will probably offend at least one person. Are you gonna be the lucky girl or boy today? We will see.
All right, so she's like me, like all of us, most of us, Greg as well too, just gonna tell you like it is, really. We're gonna be honest with you, be truthful with you. And it just happens to be people from the fitness industry. It's crazy how a lot more of us are doing this, like seeing like the attraction that it's getting. It's like, yo man, I heard being an honest fitness influencer is actually getting way more traction than being a dishonest one. Why don't we try that instead?
You know, this truth stuff is pretty cool.
So here's the post.
You need to accept. Let's see what we have to accept to not be fat. You will starve. It will suck badly. You will wake up starving and still have to do your cardio. You will feel weak and unenthusiastic. Do it anyway. You will wake in the middle of the night starving. Deal with it. Drink some water and go back to bed. Damn. Do not overeat greens to compensate. It will just fuck up your digestive tract and bloat your waistline. Your pumps will not be anything close to off season. Add extra electrolytes to your intra and push harder. He means those little colorful drinks that you see people drinking during their workout. Add more electrolytes to that, shut the freak up and keep moving. No amount of complaining or tricks will change this. Deal with it or lose. Your coach knows this is going to happen to you. Telling him won't help. It makes you look soft. If he makes changes to accommodate you, your coach sucks. This is the reality of getting peeled. Deal with it or quit. Now this sounds just disgusting.
Okay, so that's the post. And as a bodybuilder, I'm a professional bodybuilder. I won Mr. Canada 2017, 150th birthday of Canada. It was pretty dope. I've been on the pro stage. I've cracked top 10. I'm still an active professional bodybuilder, and everything he says in there is...
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
true and pertains to competitors. Okay? So let's move on.
Thing is, he's a bodybuilder. And oh, look at that. Looks like he trains other people who want to have their little tootsies grace the competition stage.
Hey everyone, my name is Phil Vizzacaro, aka Phil Viz, and I'm a national level competitive bodybuilder and contest prep coach in the fitness industry.
Okay, so how it basically goes on is somebody comes out and basically they have this exchange back and forth. And the exchange is between him and this woman who is basically not a bodybuilder, who is basically, you know, very offended. Let's just actually show you the examples. So the woman comes back and she responds to this.
Encouraging people to starve themselves? Are you serious? There's already enough people with eating disorders. Who in their right mind would post something telling people that if they are starving, they should just push through and drink some water? Believe it or not, if you are that starving, then maybe you should freaking eat. It's your body literally telling you what it needs. This is so beyond healthy and destructive. I can't even put it into words. I honestly hope this is a joke. Dude, I read that all in one take.
So that's the response she made. And obviously right there you have two different ends of the spectrum. So here's where I really want to go with all this. So we have the bodybuilding coach who is your typical bodybuilding, this is what it's all about, grind chicken broccoli rice, literally. And then on the other side, you have somebody who's basically part of like body positive, you know, movement. I do this because, you know, movements and it's like, here we go. But like when it comes to people who are, you know, having more body positive, I say body positive because there is studies actually done on the direct correlation of heart disease, diabetes, high blood pressure, cholesterol on the circumference of your stomach. They found that the larger your stomach was related to actually heart problems. Period. So body positive means love you. Obviously, media is gonna switch it on to being something that's completely physical. Like body image positivity, they've taken from the core of what it actually is, which is love yourself no matter what. That's the thing. Just because if you're obese, it doesn't mean you're supposed to love being obese. It means that you love yourself no matter what shape you are, but getting to an optimal size for everybody is the healthy thing to do. It's love who you are on the inside. Nothing really matters on the outside. Now, if you want to look a certain way, that's fine. But there are things that have to be done to keep you healthy. Staying away from heart disease, high cholesterol, diabetes, all those things that can happen when you're overweight. Just like on the flip side, it's not fine to be stage ready or peeled all the time. And the problem is, in both ends of the spectrum, there's a flaw in a missing void of just loving yourself. Whether you're peeled on stage, I know people who are peeled on stage, look the absolute best. Comments like, you're fat, 10%, just joking, but you're really not joking. You're kind of low-key, kind of rattled that you're 10% body fat, not stage weight. Because you're kind of off about really loving yourself no matter what size you are. And that's where things are skewed when it comes to being body positive. You should be body positive from that end of the spectrum to the other end of the spectrum, but healthy as a whole. We meet there in the middle of being healthy. I'm gonna get right at you guys. Okay, so 2015, I'm prepping for the Arnold Amateurs. And I'm really getting peeled for the first time. Like I've been doing really well, having a good physique and everything else, but for the first time getting peeled, like I am suffering. I'm talking suffering, dragging ass, not sleeping at nighttime, or if I wake up middle of the night, I'll go do cardio at a 24-hour gym, get back halfway dead, only sleep for 2 hours, get up. It was that kind of shit. I'm at the end of the prep, and Greg used to have this he used to sell supplements in his house, like protein bars and stuff like that. So one day, I'm sitting there and I'm like, no, there's Quest bars and diet. Grab a Quest bar, and then I eat the Quest bar, and I blink, and the whole box is done. Like that, done. And I remember just like it being like, it was so surreal. Because obviously at that time, hindsight, just the reaction of this like binge response I had. And I'm just like, oh my God, get rid of this. Like, I remember my head being like, get rid of it. So I remember looking at the toothbrush and then looking at the scale and looking at the toilet. And then this voice had being like, get rid of it, get rid of it, get rid of it. So I take the toothbrush, I go to the toilet, I just plug my mouth with it. Obviously what happens, I get up, I go on the scale. I would do that, I'll go on repeat and do that until I was literally 10 pounds less. That low key continued every prep until 2016 when I had one of the hardest years of my life when it came to prep and my mental health. It was a very challenging year. I did like 3 shows that year. And I remember the last time doing this, I remember going to the gym. I walked out and kind of like buckled my knee a little bit, like walking out of the car. And that trigger kind of got me like, what the frig? And then I literally went to every different Tim Hortons, Starbucks, and supplement stores around the whole city so no one could see me at the same place. Finished and I was like, what the heck? Get rid of it. Did it again. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. And I remember having specific comments from judges before when I'd ask, what can I work on? They're like, you gotta work on your waist control. And knowing in my head, in the back of my head, I knew that it was because it was a symptom, right? And I just remember that day and being like, I call my buddy up and I'm like, basically like in tears. And I'm like, yo, dude, like, how did you do this? Whatever. And he's like, you have to ask yourself, who's in control? Luckily, I was seeing a therapist at the time. So immediately out of therapy, I talked to him, I'm like, listen, I'm like, this is what's going on right now, blah, blah, blah. He looks at me, he's like, Johnny, you're in a sport where you think you're in control, but you have no control. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, you're doing something to your body that your body biologically, evolutionarily really isn't supposed to be doing. So until you're conscious of that, you'll continue just to respond the way you've been responding. And I was like, holy shit. And coaches like that in that industry, and I'm not saying he's a bad coach, but when it comes to this whole thing, when it comes to this industry and people dieting for anything, getting to the finish line as a bodybuilder or anybody dieting doesn't have to have this, do this, stick to the process. It's like, no, that's not how it works. You've never done this before. You don't know what your body's really going through. And I'm gonna tell you as a coach what to expect. It's going to be extremely hard. Down the road, you're going to suffer no matter what, because the results that you want require you to go through suffering. That is inevitable. If you want to win or place well in the show, you will 100% have to suffer because the look requires you to be at a body fat that is not actually optimal or healthy. And that result has a whole bunch of reactions, chemical, biological reactions that send off signals that are extremely hard to consciously control. If no one's educating you about that process, you're gonna be led down the wrong path and you're gonna end up being part of that 2 to 5 people in the industry have an eating disorder. And it goes deeper into those things where it's like, it's your goal, like you want to achieve this. There's gonna be a level of suffering no matter what, in anything that you do. If it's worth it all to you to go to the limits to wherever you need to go, you'll have to sacrifice something that's gonna cause some type of suffering. Remember, the pains of change is never as hard as the pains of staying the same. Who's in control? That control comes with understanding, education, knowledge. If you don't know those things, it's gonna be really hard for you to get to your goals. So getting a good coach, this isn't a coach commercial. I mean, it should, and it just turned into be one. So being quite honest with you, wasn't expecting that. It just happened to happen this way. But when I see this type of post between the bodybuilding industry and I would say just the general public, who is more so body positive than anything else, there's 2 ends of the spectrum that have one thing in common that they carry, and that is just loving yourself. My brother's overweight, my mother's overweight. I have a lot of overweight people in my family. There's one thing when it comes to body positivity and being healthy, yes. But there's also something about educating people on how to love themselves no matter what size you are, because those I know that are on the bodybuilding stage winning shows are the most, sometimes, I'm not saying all of them. I'm not saying all, don't get that. Don't even freaking say it, don't put that in my mouth. But I know a lot of people who are doing shows have so much of a problem loving themselves. They have body image disorders. Majority do. I did. Right? I still kind of do in a sense where I don't see myself the way people see me. I don't see myself as someone calling me, you're a big dude. I don't see that. That's why I bump into all the things when I walk around. Before, it kind of made me feel a little bit like, oh, I'm getting too small. I need to be bigger. Blah. Now to me, it's like, nah, I love myself. I love this, right? So I accept all shapes and sizes I have. But the one shape and size that matters the most is the one that's the healthiest. And the one that's the healthiest is the one that loves itself the most. So I say that because I know there's people out there who've dealt with eating disorders and are probably, especially in this industry, and people don't talk about it. It's a very taboo topic. I remember actually, talking about this to somebody and them being like, yo man, be very careful what putting that out right away because, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of that. And now that I'm like, yeah, I don't give a shit. Someone's got to talk about this shit because it's serious. We can butter it up however we want to butter it up. Mental illness, eating disorders, they're all the same. They need to be handled and dealt with and talked about and whatnot. So anyway, I thought I'd say that, guys. Stay tuned for the next video. Coaching up me and Greg from back in the day and showing you guys how we could have optimized a lot more. Some different, things that we both did that are very not optimal. Anyway, guys, if you liked the video, guys, make sure you like, subscribe, and share the video. You guys know I'm going to come out that tell like it is, vulnerable, transparent truth, guys. And for coaching, johnashee.com. Book a phone consult, 15 to 30 minutes, guys. At the end of that phone consult, if you want to go with coaching, I deduct the phone consult off any package, whether it's online continuous coaching or just one-time plan. Anyway, guys, follow me on Instagram at _JohnShee_. I'll repost what you send over. Just make sure it's good stuff to send over. I'll repost it. Anyway, guys, check out my gym at Impact Fitness 56. You know how it is. Iron sharpens iron. Progressive overload your life. In the meantime, keep gym chasing. Peace.